When the rain taps on your window and the night grows darker than usual, ancient secrets begin to whisper through the wind. You're about to hear one of those stories that were never meant to be told. But since you're already here, stay till the end. Subscribe if you dare, and turn on notifications. The next story might just be about you. I run a small YouTube channel. Mostly, I document scenic trails and explore remote places. It's usually just about enjoying nature, finding old ruins, that kind of thing. But this time, I found something else. I need to record this, partly to warn others, mostly to get it out of my head, though I doubt it'll ever leave completely. It started like any other day hike. I picked an obscure trail system deep in the Crofton Ridge wilderness, hoping to film something unique. The initial climb was beautiful, hard but rewarding. Sunlight filtered through the trees. Birds chirped. Idyllic. I went farther than usual, driven by the hope of finding a panoramic view I'd seen marked on an old, unreliable map. By noon, clouds rolled in and the air turned cold. I knew I should turn back, but the thought of retracing my steps felt bleak. I decided to keep going a bit farther. If the weather worsened, I'd descend down the other side. That's when I noticed the trail had vanished. What I thought was a faint animal path simply disappeared. The forest here was thick, ancient. The kind where underbrush is sparse because the canopy blocks out most light. It was growing dimmer, and unease crept in. I wasn't lost. My sense of direction is solid, and GPS was working, but I was definitely off any marked path. Another 20 minutes of pushing through tangled rhododendron, and I emerged into a small, unexpected clearing. At its center stood a house. Not a ruin, not some moss-covered foundation like I usually find. A 2-story wooden house, plank siding, front porch, glass still in most windows. Old, definitely. Paint peeling, porch sagging, but intact, maintained even. I saw no road, no path leading to it, and just dense forest pressing in around the clearing. The grass was short, trimmed. That was the first truly strange thing. My YouTuber instincts kicked in. Abandoned house deep in the forest? Goldmine content? I pulled out the camera, checked the battery, and started recording. I joked on camera about how this was the perfect setup for a horror movie. If only I'd known. The camera started acting up immediately. Autofocus jittered, preview flickered faintly. I blamed the low light. The closer I got, the stranger it felt. The air around the house was still. Unnaturally so. Forest sounds, insects, leaves rustling, distant birds, all dampened. Like the clearing existed in a pocket of silence. The house, though weathered, was suspiciously clean. No cobwebs in the porch corners, windows foggy but intact. The front door was closed but not locked. I hesitated. Should I go in? But curiosity won out. I pushed the door. It creaked, not ominously, just like a door that hadn't been opened in a week or two. The smell hit me. Not dust and mold like I expected, but lemon polish and old wood. Almost homely. I stepped in, camera rolling, whispering commentary. Inside was even stranger. A small hallway led to a living room. Furniture, couch, 2 armchairs, a coffee table, woven rug on a wooden floor. Everything pristine. Not new, but spotless. No dust on the table. The upholstery, though faded, was clean. It looked like someone had just tidied up. When I reviewed the footage later, that part was nearly unreadable. Grainy, oversaturated, sound replaced by a low hum I never heard at the time. My voice was nearly indecipherable. "This place, it's in incredible shape," I whispered. "Or maybe not just preserved, maybe lived in. But by who? Out here?" I moved through the ground floor. Dining room, table set with simple ceramic plates and utensils, spotless. Kitchen, tiny and old, but immaculate. Nothing left out. Sink, shining. It wasn't abandoned. It was emptied. Suddenly, the camera went haywire in the kitchen. Strobes, digital smearing hiding details I remember vividly. The feeling that someone had just left or was still upstairs was unbearable. Like they heard me coming and slipped out the back, or were hiding. I called out, "Hello? Is anyone here?" My voice echoed unnaturally. On playback, it's warped, demonic almost, followed by a burst of white noise. On the mantel and a side table were framed photographs. I tried to zoom in. A family, a man around 40 with kind eyes and thinning hair, a woman younger with a warm smile and wavy dark hair, a girl, maybe 7 or 8, with pigtails and a gapped grin. They looked happy, normal. One photo showed them in front of this very house. The man had his arm around the woman. The girl held a flower. I tried to capture the photos, but the footage was corrupted, just static and pixels. Their faces were a blur, like the camera refused to record them. Only my memory of their smiles remains. "Okay, people definitely lived here," I muttered. "But where are they? And why is it so perfect?" A knot twisted in my gut. The place felt staged, like a set, too tidy. A house this deep in the woods, left alone even for a week, would start to decay. But this, it was like it was waiting. I decided to go upstairs. The stairs creaked, each step echoing too loudly. I kept my flashlight on, though it flickered. 2 bedrooms and a small bathroom. The master, large bed, made perfectly. Dresser, closet. Reading glasses and a closed book on the nightstand. No dust. The footage here is mostly black. Occasional flashes of recognizable shapes. The child's room. A small bed with a patchwork quilt. Stuffed animals lined on a shelf. Their button eyes seem to follow me. A child's drawing taped to the wall. Stick figures under a yellow sun, standing beside a massive green tree. The tree was oversized, branches outstretched like arms, protective or engulfing. I recorded it, but on playback it's just color chaos. Panic was setting in. The silence, the unnatural order. It was too much. I wasn't an investigator. I was a tourist with a failing camera, and I had gone too far. Then I found the note, tucked under a tarnished silver box on the dresser. A yellowed page, ink still vivid. Not a letter, more like a journal entry or a prayer. The handwriting was neat, masculine, maybe the father. As I read, my hands shook. The footage is ruined, static, screaming distortion. But I remember the words. The thirst is strong today. It whispers through the roots, through the floorboards. We bring what we can. We are grateful for its shadow, its eternal presence. It was before us. It will be after. Little one is strong. She feels it more. That is good. The communion must be full for her to bloom beneath its branches. It requires patience. It requires faith. The growth gives. The growth takes. We give ourselves to the growth, to become part of its forever. It asks for stillness, quiet nourishment. We must be still. We must be silent. Soon we will root, unchanging, entwined forever in its design. Blessed be the growth. May its reach spread. May its thirst be sated. A chill ran through me. The growth. What in God's name was the growth? The tree and the child's drawing flashed in my mind. Huge, dominating. The words, thirst, roots, communion, rooted, all terrifying. This was no cute countryside family. This was something else, something vile. The air grew heavy, pressing, my breath loud and ragged. The feeling of being watched intensified, not by eyes, but by something bigger. Like the house was holding its breath. I'm done. I'm leaving, I said aloud. My voice trembled. Then I noticed the camera had stopped recording. The red light was off. I fumbled to turn it back on. Panic flared. This is too much. The note. The house. I'm getting out. I backed out of the room, unwilling to turn my back. I half ran down the stairs, now creaking like accusations. I didn't look around, bolted to the door, grabbed the handle, and heard it. A soft sound from upstairs, a creak, like someone shifting weight. I didn't wait. Yanked the door open, burst out onto the porch, stumbled down the steps into the clearing. Daylight was dimmer, shadows longer. I didn't look back. I ran for the tree line, camera clutched tight. Relief at escaping the house was short-lived. The forest felt wrong. Every shadow seemed to move. Every rustle, a lurking thing. The words from the note echoed. Roots. Thirst. I scanned the trees. They were just trees, weren't they? I pushed forward, trying to put distance between me and that house, heart pounding, telling myself some strange religious family. Maybe they just moved away. Maybe someone maintains the place. But the note, it didn't fit any of that. After 100 yards or more, I passed a dense stand of ancient oaks, their limbs twisted, overlapping like a woven ceiling. And then I heard it. A voice, faint, wind-like, but distinctly human. "Help! Me!" I froze. Blood froze. It was so faint I thought I imagined it. But then it came again, clearer, more desperate. "Please, help!" To my left, from within the oaks. Against every instinct, driven by morbid curiosity or a sense of duty, I turned. Camera still in hand, I aimed blindly toward the sound. I took a few hesitant steps, peering into the dim. "Hello?" I croaked. "Here, please," came the reply, louder now, guiding. And then I saw her, or what was left. An enormous oak, thicker than any I'd ever seen. And grown into it, or maybe grown around her, was a woman. My brain refused to believe, but I recognized her from the photos. Dark hair tangled with moss. Face pale, sunken, twisted toward me, eyes filled with terror and resignation. Her skin had the texture of bark, desaturated, dry, blending into the tree. Her arms, lower body, gone, consumed. Only her upper torso, shoulders, and head remained. Even they were deeply embedded. She looked drained, transformed. Her cracked lips moved. "Help me, please." Her voice rustled like dead leaves. I finally found my voice. What happened to you? Who did this?" Something flickered in her eyes. "The growth took us, holds us, feeds. Your family, your husband, daughter?" I asked, recalling the photos. Her gaze drifted past me. "He welcomed it, brought it to us. He's rooted deep. He sleeps now." A thick tear, like sap, slid from her eye down her gnarled cheek. "My daughter, she still feels. It needs her. Fresh. Please, you must help her." "Help? How? Where is she?" I stammered, brain buckling under the impossible. Her eyes twitched, not at me, but past me, toward the house or deeper in the woods. Her breathing quickened. It's coming." "What? What's coming?" I whispered, frozen. And then I heard it. Soft footsteps on the forest floor behind me. Twigs snapping, leaves stirring. But not from wind, from movement. My skin crawled. The steps were slow, almost casual, which made them worse. The woman saw my face, or heard it too. Her eyes widened further. Her voice cracked, no longer pleading, but a scream of pure terror. "No! Please don't!" Her voice cut off, choked. I didn't wait, didn't turn around. That scream, not aimed at me, but at something behind me, shattered my paralysis. I ran. I have never run like that in my life. Blind panic. Branches whipped my face. Roots tried to trip me. I didn't care. I ran, lungs burning, heart ready to explode. Behind me, real or imagined, the footsteps followed, matching pace. Or was it just my pulse? I didn't check. The woman's face, her voice, the note, the growth. It all blurred into a nightmare carousel. Somehow, by dumb luck or instinct, I found the switchback trail I'd started on that morning. I've never been so relieved to see a trail marker, but I didn't stop. I flew down that trail, poles rattling against my backpack. For another hour, maybe more, I ran like a madman until I saw the parking lot. My car. It was the most beautiful sight of my life. My hands shook so badly I barely got the key in the ignition. The engine roared. I reversed, turned, gravel flying as I tore away. I didn't look in the rear view for miles. I drove straight home. Hours. Only when I reached my front door did I realize I was still gripping the camera. Later, with a sick feeling, I checked the memory card. The files were there, but unreadable, static, digital smear, twisted, broken sound. A few frames, hints of silhouettes, fragments of words, nothing clear, nothing to prove I saw that house, read that note, faced that horror in the trees. It's like the place, or whatever lived there, fought the recording. I barely sleep now. When I close my eyes, I see her face grown into the bark. I hear her cry, "Help!" And then the scream, the growth. What was it? A sentient, parasitic plant? A local god they worshipped until it consumed them. And what followed me? The father? Rooted deep, but still moving. Or the growth itself? The lack of footage only makes it worse. Just my word, my broken memory, against the silence. Sometimes I start to doubt myself. Maybe I imagined it. Stress, isolation, fear. But then I remember the cold terror, the lemon polish, the feel of that page in my hands, the scream. No, it was real. I never went back to those woods, and I don't think I ever will. I'm not someone who scares easily. I've worked night shifts, done solo hikes in the backwoods, even volunteered on a crisis hotline for a year. But what I saw 2 nights ago, I still can't find the words for it. I tried calling friends, tried explaining, but every time I start, I feel like I'm unraveling. So now I'm writing it down, because if I don't, I'll start to believe none of it happened. And that's how it gets in. It all started with a shortcut. I was driving home after visiting my mom. A tiny town in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours along winding mountain roads. It was late, foggy. My phone battery was down to 4%. The GPS died 10 minutes after the signal dropped, and somewhere along the way, I missed a turn. I decided to double back. That's when I saw the old wooden sign nailed to a pine. Miller Trail. Logging road, no passage. I'd heard of the Miller Trail before. My uncle used to talk about it when I was a kid. Said it was an old logging route from the 1940s, abandoned. It leads to nowhere, and it gets you there fast, he used to say. Don't go looking for shortcuts through bones. I thought he was being dramatic. So I turned onto the trail. The road was barely wider than my car. Ruts, branches scraping the windows, fog so thick I was crawling at 5 miles an hour. Every so often I saw lights between the trees, flickers, never steady, just enough to make me feel like I wasn't alone. Then the engine stuttered. No warning, no check engine light, just a jolt and a sound like someone sucking air through a wet rag. And silence. I turned the key. Nothing. Checked my phone. Dead. No signal, no bars, no charge. That's when I heard it. Not an animal. Not wind. Music. Faint. Like it was playing on an old gramophone. Thin and distant. A woman's voice, slow and trembling. Let the pine cradle thee. Let moss be thy bed. I thought maybe someone lived out here. A ranger's cabin. Some off-grid hermit. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out. The forest was too quiet. You don't realize how much noise trees usually make until it's gone. No rustling, no crickets, no wind. Just my boots on the dirt, and that voice, growing clearer. I followed it. The path twisted deeper into the woods. The fog didn't lift. It thickened, clung to me. My skin itched. My throat dried. The farther I went, the stronger the feeling that I was being watched. Then I saw the house. 2 stories. White paint peeling in long, curling strips. Porch sagging in the middle. The windows too dark for the light shining behind them. But there was light. Candlelight. Flickering through the shutters. The front door was wide open. The song was louder now, echoing from inside. The roots shall rise and worms shall feast, I called out. No answer. I stepped inside. The air was wrong, heavy, damp, like the inside of a glacier that hadn't been opened in decades. The wallpaper was rotted, bubbling at the seams. The floorboards booed. But everything else looked untouched. Not dusty. Not abandoned. Lived in. By the door, boots were neatly placed. A coat hung on a hook. In the kitchen, a kettle whistled softly on a wood-burning stove. I entered the living room. That's when I saw her. She sat in a rocking chair facing the window. Pale blue dress, long tangled hair. Her skin didn't look right. Too thin, almost translucent, like wax held over a flame. The song was coming from her mouth, but her lips weren't moving, just the voice, slow and distant. Close your eyes and lie in the dark, where time sleeps and shadows grow. Ma'am? I called. She didn't turn. Then the chair stopped rocking. Just froze. The singing stopped too. I was about to back away when she spoke, not with her mouth. The words weren't sound. They hit me inside my skull, pressure behind my eyes. You were not invited. Every hair on my body stood up. I stepped back. The floor creaked beneath me. Then the walls inhaled. I swear, they swelled outward like lungs. The wallpaper pulsed like skin. The light flickered and shadows poured from the corners like spilled ink. I turned and ran, but the door was gone. Just a wall. Seamless. I spun, looking for another way out, but every window was bricked up from the inside. The house had changed, grown. The furniture had vanished. The floor writhed beneath me. Then I heard footsteps. Not hers. Something heavy, dragging, coming from upstairs. Each step moaned under its weight. I dove into a hallway, heart hammering, found a door, slammed it shut, clicked on my flashlight. It didn't help. The room was paneled in mirrors, floor to ceiling, dozens of them, but none of them showed me. They reflected the room, but I wasn't in any of them. Instead, other people, standing alone, pale and trembling, one missing an arm, another bleeding from the eyes. One looked like me, but older, worn. His eyes were wrong, hollow. Then they started moving, not the mirrors, the people inside. All of them looked up at once and smiled. That's when I heard her again. Sleep now, child, beneath the pine. She was behind me. I turned. The woman from the chair was in the room, but her mouth still didn't move. Her face, it was wrong. The longer I looked, the less it made sense. Features floated, eyes where cheeks should be, too many teeth, no nose. She reached for me with hands that were far too long. I lunged at the nearest mirror. It cracked, but didn't shatter. My reflection stared back, silent. Then it mouthed something. Wake up! I swung the flashlight again. The glass burst, and behind it, a passage opened. I ran. This time, the house didn't fight me. Doors appeared where there had been walls. Stairs led down instead of up. I don't know how long I ran. Time stopped meaning anything. The air stank of rust and sour milk. When I finally burst into the woods, the fog was gone. So was the house. No trace, no foundation, just trees. I stumbled back to the road. My car was still there, still cold, still dead, but real. I climbed inside and waited for dawn. When the sun rose, the engine started on the first try. I drove until I had signal again and called my uncle. He listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, he only asked one question. How did the pine smell? I didn't answer. I already knew. He'd been there too. I don't know what that house was, or why it let me go. But last night I found something in my apartment. A piece of wallpaper. It smelled like earth. And this morning, my hallway was 2 feet longer. I measured. Twice. I think the house came back with me. And I don't think it's finished yet. The story is over, but silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes the scariest part begins when you think it's all behind you. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment what story you'd like to hear next. And remember, fear isn't just a feeling. Sometimes it stares back at you from the darkness.